I'm excited about today's episode. We haven't dropped an episode in a while because, as you can see, we have a whole new setup and we've been doing this mix up for a little remix. Tune in, stay dialed in, because we're going to be going through news updates, hot topics in real estate, the neighboring states of Oklahoma, which has 19.8% more inventory than in 2019, and Texas, up 18.9%, top the list of biggest gainers. However, some analysis estimate that the market is still 35% overvalued.
That's it. Next up, we are going to be talking about strategies for growing a property management company.
As far as SEO is concerned, you want to start investing in SEO because that's how people are finding you. Really, what I would have done was, number one, got a bookkeeper. Start with that. Listen, there's good information here. You can learn from our mistakes. Let's go navigate. Let's go.
Here we go.
Here we go. Here we grow.
Here we go.
Hello and welcome to the Navigate Property Management Show. I'm Ernesto. Together, between Judy and I, we've managed over $500 million in real estate transactions, over 2,500 leases, over 5,000 applications. We are here recording episode number 7, bringing it to you straight from Frisco, Texas, and we are loving it. I'm excited about today's episode. We haven't dropped an episode in a while because, as you can see, we have a whole new setup and we've been doing this mix up for a little remix. We're thankful that you guys are here. Listen, tune in, stay dialed in, because we're going to be going through news updates, hot topics in real estate, kind of giving our take and our thoughts on it. We're also going to be going over techniques on how to grow your property management company. So it's going to be a bomb episode.
Bomb. Straight from the Frisco, Texas.
That's right. This is the Newsflash. Our first topic is going to be about inventory, specifically in 8 different states. It's now above pre-pandemic levels. Let me read you this real quick.
So many houses.
Inventory has risen. The neighboring states of Oklahoma, which has 19.8% more inventory than in 2019, and Texas, up 18.9%, top the list of biggest gainers. So we live in the top 2 states with the biggest gains. Oklahoma. I didn't even know people lived in Oklahoma. No offense, Oklahoma.
Okay, my parents live in Oklahoma. But like,
so hold on.
So many houses.
Hold your horses. Biggest gainers. Idaho, which boomed during the pandemic, but then saw its market cool considerably, was up 17.1%, while Florida has seen inventory rise 8.5% since 2019. Other states with 5-year gains are Arkansas, up 4.2%, and Alabama, up 1.6%, Tennessee, up 0.9%, and Utah, 0.5% up.
Wow.
So Judy, what does this mean? Because most of our listeners are investors and realtors and things like that.
Yeah.
What happens when inventory rises? States for investors. Is that a good thing, a bad thing?
No, that's a good thing for investors. That means that there is more supply than there is probably even demand right now, which means some of those prices for houses are going to go down. The demand at one point was driving the supply, and we've responded to that. We've kept building. DFW is number 2 in the nation for build to rent, just building constantly. But because we've met that need and now we're above, you have an excess. What do you do with your excess? You can't just sit there. You got to sell it. So that means there's an opportunity for investors to come in and buy some of these houses to rent them out. Because the other thing that we've seen is that inventory, like even in the apartment communities, has gone up. So this is the opportunity to buy newer houses, or possibly even some of those older houses, because I think a lot of times you see folks that are moving from a house they've lived in for 10, 15 years and going and buying one of these lovely new builds. There isn't going to be as much demand for older houses either. Those prices should start to come down also.
Yes. So here's the interesting thing though is, and I'll read this to you as well, most of the country hasn't caught up. So inventory in the rest of the states is still below 2019 levels.
I think that in line with even business that we're seeing come to the Midwest, to Texas, to Florida, that the builders want to come here too. They're leaving and coming here to build.
So you don't see any association here with these states? No political lean anywhere? Tax savings?
Along with business, right? You come here for
State
a reason.
Tax.
It has to do with the opportunity. These states are giving you a better opportunity to build. It's more affordable. For sure, more friendly. You can have a great quality of life while you're here.
That's right.
The other thing you have to consider is that the Federal Reserve, right? They're going to be making decisions about interest rates, and I know that they
Yes.
have got to consider some of these things.
Part of the article says what the Federal Reserve does in the next few weeks will also influence the housing market this fall and winter. The expectation is that the Fed will begin cutting rates in September with the possibility of several more cuts to follow in 2025.
They have to. I mean, they don't have to, but people definitely got used to seeing 3, 4, 5% interest on houses. And it's been punch in the gut dealing with these really high interest rates. And a lot of people that maybe they were ready to purchase their first house in the last year when all of these houses and the inventory was rising have been waiting saying, I do not want to pay 7.5%. I don't even want to pay 6.9%. Like, certainly this has to come down a little bit.
Yes.
So I think that if that interest rate does come down a little bit, we will see another solid buyer's field coming in and being able to actually afford these new houses.
I love it. Those are great thoughts, Judy. Let's get a little bit more specific because obviously we talk a lot more about Texas, even though we love the other states. You know, we do.
We really
but we're doing real estate here in North Texas. So our thoughts specifically on the Austin market crash. Some interesting things here for sure. I'm going to read it to you real quick. Austin, Texas real estate market has been declining since the pandemic. In May 2024, home prices were down 18.7% from their peak in May 2022. And as of June 2024, they were still more than 16% below their pandemic high. The median list price in the Austin metro area fell 6.1% over the past 2 years to $542,000 in February 2024. Monthly rents were also down 4.4% year over year to a median of $1,530 in February 2024.
You know, it's so something to know, even though inventory is up all over North Texas, right? Or all over Texas. Dallas.
Are you saying you don't claim Austin?
No, I do not. I do not claim Austin.
Not right now.
Not right now.
Today.
Not right now.
But this could be a good sign. I like to say coming back to reality.
Well, okay, that's what I was going to say, though.
There may be a little bit space now for investors to start pouring in.
Here's the thing, though.
No, I'm not saying to do it. I'm just saying because the traffic is horrendous. You can't even drive to go see a property to buy.
Austin is a whole nother world, really, when it comes to what you typically expect as far as the real estate market and even demographics in Texas. But the thing that you have to recognize is that we're talking about it's down 18%? Okay.
18.7 home prices.
That's down. That doesn't mean, it usually goes up 10% every year, and this year, instead, we've kind of slowly, no. In Dallas, we had that peak, right, where people were paying like $770,000 for a house that was listed for $600,000. But in the Dallas area, also with San Antonio and Houston, that was like the new floor, okay? This is the new floor. Now we've slowly continued to grow, okay? Austin had the new floor, and for Austin, it wasn't just a floor, it became a glass ceiling because they're going down. Right after the pandemic, when we had that huge influx, everybody's home prices went up, up, up. It was incredible. It was crazy. Austin, Dallas and Fort Worth, right? Houston, we've continued to slowly inch up. Austin is inching down. That's not good. That means that there's something wrong with your housing market. That's when you start to worry about a crash. There could legitimately be a real estate bust. This gets me concerned. It does, because it's still our state. You don't want to see something like that.
Absolutely. So what is your opinion? Should investors not buy?
You should not buy in Austin right now because I think it's still overvalued, highly overvaluing. Some analysts are looking at it and they're like, nah. Even at the current prices at like 20% down, they're saying it's still overvalued.
Here's the second point. Some factors that have contributed to the decline include higher mortgage rates, fewer new residents, so less people moving in.
That's true.
Slowing investor purchases and increased construction. So inventory is part of that, like we were talking about earlier. So Austin was one of the hottest real estate markets in the country during the pandemic as people moved from coasts, California, New York, right, to the Sun Belt. However, some analysis estimate that the market is still 35% overvalued.
That's it. That's just so much. Even if it was 10 to 15% overvalued.
I know it.
You don't want to be investing there right now.
That's wild.
Not right now.
That's wild.
And you probably don't want to try to sell right now either. Just hold your Austin fort.
Those are really good thoughts, Judy. That's our take on the two topics. Number one, inventory up in 8 states since pre-COVID, and then the Austin market crash.
Next up, we are going to be talking about strategies for growing a property management company. And as everyone knows, I am the chief strategist in our relationship. No, it's not me. You're right. Ernesto lives, breathes, thinks, dreams property management growth strategy. So this is going to be exciting. We're just starting walking into this. Ernesto could talk about this for hours, and Ernesto really digging deeper into growing a property management company through strategy, because that can be done. First thing I would want to know, because it kind of sounds like strategic planning. When it comes to property management, how does strategy play an important role with growth?
When you think about strategy, you're thinking about a system that, number one, is you can replicate, you can easily follow, or simply follow, not easily, simply follow.
Simply, right.
And you can see the outcome through the strategy. Those are some key components that I would say in general when it comes to strategy. It doesn't matter what industry, but those are some of the things that you want to be looking at.
When it comes to how you have grown Navigate strategically, and you're talking about like creating a system, how did you decide what growth strategies you wanted to create systems for? Because I'm sure there's lots of things out there.
Obviously, Ernesto 2016 is a lot different than Ernesto
start talking about your
2024. And I say that to say that you have two types of individuals who are trying to grow a property management company. Let's highlight three. The first one is, I don't have any money, I want to start a property management company. The second one is, I have a little base, I can start using a little bit of money. And then the third one is acquisition. I'm going to buy the little guys, continue to grow the property management. So let's first talk about the first one, which is, I have little to invest right now. There's one strategy.
Little capital to invest.
Very little capital. Let's just say no capital.
You got time.
Yeah, you got time.
Right.
Maybe you're a sick cat, don't really have a family and all of that. You're younger, you're hungry, you're up and coming, right? Yeah. Let's just say that's the scenario. My tip would be to start building relationships with the brokerages. So when we did ours, we started with a campaign called We Love Realtors, and it was influenced because I was born and raised in New York City. You can see through our background, the New York City influence. We still need Puerto Rico and some other influences for us to kind of represent what we stand for or what we love. And we have Judy here all the time, so that we already know who I love. But if you're gonna be strategic, you need to start somewhere that makes sense for you. Here's the other thing is, when you're that small, when you don't have any business, let's say, your service is going to look very different than when you have a foundation of clients, right?
What do you mean by service?
Your service is just going to look different. You're not going to have as many boundaries. If one of your clients texts you on a Saturday,
I see what you're saying.
You're more prone to respond when you're that small. And here's why those individuals are a better fit for brokerages and realtors, because realtors operate that way. If a realtor refers a client to you, they're going to start receiving a similar type of service, which when we would go talk to brokerages, we would say there's three ways that we love realtors.
We love realtors.
The first one is we match your service. Boom,
we
boom,
make
boom.
You look good.
That's right. The second one is we go above and beyond.
Above and beyond.
Above and beyond.
We take care of
your clients, which is still number one. Number two is we would guarantee that we wouldn't steal their clients. That's the other thing you need to think about if you're looking to grow. Make sure you're communicating that aspect. You're not looking to steal clients. Stay away from that, because then you'll start burning bridges. No bueno in the marketplace. So, and then the third one was we paid a referral fee. Now, the good news is, so establishing that relationship with the brokerage, and sometimes we would go for the head, which was the broker, establish a relationship there, and then now start networking with the realtors, because they still need to know who you are. You want to participate in their Facebook group. You want to show up, presence, right? Really, you want to probably build about 3 brokerages, right? Because you want to slowly start bringing doors in, clients in, because now you can really start to exercise and iron out some of the kinks, right? Because you don't want to be like us. We signed 750 doors in the first 2 years, not just through brokerages, but we had a lot of people leaving the back door. This was before the buyout with my business partners. Anyway, long story. But I would say that's the first entry point right there when it comes to building relationships with brokerages specifically. The good news is you don't have to exert or exhaust your financial capital resources, because you're going to pay the realtor after you do the leasing process. So you don't have to be out of pocket. You can get paid for the leasing, and then you can pay the realtor the referral fee. So you don't have to be out of pocket as much as that.
Take me a little bit deeper. If someone were going to ask you, like, okay, I want to build relationships with brokerages, what are the 3 things you need to do to build a relationship with a brokerage?
Number one, be relentless. How detailed do we want to go? Go onto Google Maps and actually find the local brokerages. Don't just go online and try to find a list of all brokers. Actually find the ones that are close to your house. So start with your local county. So this way it's reachable, distance that you need to cover and all of that stuff. So I would say identify 5 of them that are local and then actually drive to the brokerages. Be present, meet the person at the front desk. And then at that point you say, hey, if your brokerages or any of your realtors were going to refer their client to a property management company, who do you refer to? And then they'll say, I don't know. They say, oh yeah, we have an in-house realtor or whatever. So, and you can start crossing those people out of your list if they have an in-house, if they provide those services, because you're not going to be able to compete with them or be able to work with them. That would be the first thing that you really want to do as you're going through that process. Then when you connect with them, you say, well, what do I need to do so that your realtors refer them over to me? How do I become a preferred vendor, really is the term that you want to be after. Well, step 1, identify the actual location.
Identify them.
Step 2, meet somebody in person while there, and then get introduced to their vendor program or their preferred vendor program or the actual broker. And also, big tip, don't overlook the smaller brokerages. They work a lot with investors, so
they do.
Don't overlook the smaller investors,
That's
people.
Right. Okay, that's good. I like that you're able to kind of break it down. Hopefully that's helpful for somebody. Strategy, if you're young, hungry, you got time, you don't got money, be presentable. That's a good point though. If you're gonna walk into a brokerage,
absolutely. You gotta show up.
Look sharp.
Yes.
Yeah.
Please.
Shine your shoes. Brush your hair.
Don't show up dressed like a roofer. You know who you are.
Presence is what you got. You got time, you got presence, create relationships. That's a good way to be strategic at that small level.
Yes.
Anything else at that small level?
Obviously, investor meetups. Investor groups are phenomenal. Big shout out to DREIG. That Joe Boston is out there, I believe in Arlington. Joe, I'm going to send you this clip because you need to sponsor our next episode. But big shout out to Joe Boston. We built a relationship with him. He would send us doors as well. Catherine Villarreal was part of that crew.
Yep.
So I'm not going to start name dropping. Obviously everyone in DFW, but there are brokerages out there that work with investors. Okay, I'm not going to name those individuals. If they want to sponsor our video, I may drop their names. You are going to hear from us, people. You're going to stay busy. You're going to stay busy listening to brokerages, their events, their new realtors that come in, and then start popping up on those meetups.
Yeah.
And just start shaking hands, connecting with people, collecting numbers. Start building your CRM right away. You don't need anything sexy. Just get a Google sheet. Start building it out. Yeah, spreadsheet.
Build out your spreadsheet. How about the mid-sized company? At this point, like, where do you see Navigate at this point? Do you still feel we're like
the #1 company in the nation? Booyah!
Right now, this very
right now, the #1 company in the nation. I didn't say the biggest. I said we're the best. Sorry, go ahead and ask your question. My bad.
That's fine. Where do you see Navigate right now in the scale of those 3 areas? Like the young and hungry, established with a little bit of money, you got capital to burn, you're just buying stuff up.
Yeah, so let's say they manage 500 doors, something like that, right? Which clearly would make you $1 million company at about.
If it doesn't, call us. Maybe we can help.
Yeah, well, yes, for sure. So, I mean, anywhere between 400 to 500 doors, you definitely should be $1 million company.
$1 million company.
We could talk about different streams of revenue. That's not the point of today's show, but for an individual who has a good base, #1, you have to keep your goals in mind, right? Because if, like for us, we have lofty goals.
Right.
We're going after the Texas Triangle, and then we'd like to go nationwide, right?
Right.
Some of the things that we're doing today is for 2026, 2027, 2028. One of those things is doing what we're doing right now, which is creating content, right? Podcasts and things of that nature, putting out information into the virtual reality, the pixel world, the internet. So I would say learning how to carve out time, because if you have that amount of doors, you should not be on the front lines as much as you were when you had up to 200, 300 doors, okay? Right. So now you have a little bit of wiggle room. You can create a system. We figured out a way to create a flow that we can record. Again, systems and strategy kind of weaving into these different opportunities for us. So I would probably just say start with something like that where you're taking more of an educational approach so that you can start growing an audience and people can start wanting to dial in and tune in and listen to you. Because you've been doing this for XYZ years. You are the expert. And now also you get to exercise a different muscle, which is like, how do I really present this to the marketplace? So that's a big one. The second one, obviously, I would do is invest in SEO. So some people would go with a company. We do things, we're more in-house type of company. We like to bring people in. I would say that's one of our passions and desires is to develop people. We like to develop people and see them grow with us and become leaders. So we enjoy doing that. We're probably not really the best at outsourcing, even though we have outsourced, we have tried it, and we're not going to dive deep into that. But as far as SEO is concerned, you want to start investing in SEO because that's how people are finding you. What are you going to put a wrap on your car? I'm not saying that putting on your wrap, that's another strategy. You could put a wrap on your car. So if you get a property for lease, make sure to put your sign out there, right? If you're going to be in the area, just go ahead and start dropping off flyers, knocking on doors. Let people know you exist. You just never know. Those are some additional strategies that I would use for sure.
An online presence.
Yes.
And which does take time, but it costs money to really get your stuff out there. You were saying something earlier this week about like you have to pay to play. And you were saying all these people that are like, oh, just start advertising like this. You're like, no, you pay to play. What do you mean by you pay to play when it comes to, were you talking about like YouTube or SEO or like what would you?
I mean, all of the above. I mean, it doesn't matter what you do. Part of your strategy needs to be investing. Especially for a smaller company, you should be allocating, I would say, my personal opinion, 33% of your revenue should go back into the company. Like you have to be investing in your company. Here's the thing though, is as an entrepreneur, you know this, I know this, everything seems shiny, right? You want to get, it's like you have to master no, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing that. No, I'm not doing that. No. We're going to name a bunch of stuff. We'll probably just start knocking them out.
Yeah.
But the thing is, you have to pick 3 and just buy into those 3. Figure out what you're good at. You can't do Facebook and Instagram and LinkedIn and SEO and build relationships with brokerages and do all these. It's really, really tough. You have to become an expert in one and then start dibbling and dabbling on some other things, right? You'll start stretching yourself.
To wrap it up, you are paying to get your content out there that will then reach the people that you're trying to reach.
Yeah, but, you know, when you're 500, 750, even 1,000, your investment is going into things, buying lists, you know, mailers, direct mailers, right? There's all types of ways to get people. Facebook ads, right? There's a plethora, right? People have done billboard advertising. Renters Warehouse does a bunch of billboard advertising. YouTube ads, email marketing. You should, you know, CRM and email marketing, you should have Google ads, SEO. We talked about podcasting, all of those different things. I would say get used to the first one that I said. But anyway, before you get to that next tier where you're doing acquisitions, your investment is in these different types of resources. So if you can bring somebody in for brand management, strategic management, your salesperson is not going to be also, well, it depends how many doors you're bringing in. We've experienced some of those growing pains where you're bringing in doors and you're like, I can't even, you know, respond to someone on Facebook groups. Facebook groups, by the way, guys, I've gotten doors back in the days on Facebook groups. Judy hated having to follow up with leads on Facebook. I'm like, follow up with that lead.
They're so combative. It's the social media game.
I found
this?
I found portfolio investors on Facebook groups where we've gotten multiple doors from them.
I called them. They came in.
MySpace. No, I'm just kidding. And we've talked about social media websites and stuff like that. LinkedIn, I would say, is still kind of on tap for us. I think that's like the next thing that we're going to be looking at. For those of you who are looking for ways to grow your property management company. I mean, we spent so much time on strategy. We have a customized CRM system, which we've had conversations about figuring out how we can get that out into the marketplace for other property management companies. We don't have anything for you guys yet. Calm down. But it may come out soon, who knows? But for right now, we use it. Our focus is growing the property management company. That's what we're going to continue to stay focused on.
Talk to me about finding time to strategize. How much time do you think a business owner, entrepreneur needs to set aside to really get into a space where you're strategizing?
Listen, thinkers get paid. Problem solvers get paid. In order for you to do those things, you need time to think. I time block my thinking time. I include that with my walking time. I try to get steps in. Even when I go to lift weights, I'm using those moments to just think and be completely separated. When you're driving, I like to do 2 things at once. Either I'm walking and thinking, or I'm lifting and thinking, or I'm driving and thinking, or I'm showering and thinking.
Hello?
She walked in, she's like, hey.
What are you okay in there?
Like, whoa. Deep
Save me.
I love to think. I mean, obviously, you know that. We've been married. Gonna be 15 years.
Boom.
Let's go.
As the Chief Strategic Officer here at Navigate, if you're trying to decide between a couple different things to add, how do you make the decision? I replay
it in my mind 50 times.
Replay what?
My strategy. I think about every single outcome. It's like chess. If I have a knight, I'm like, if I put it there and I put it there and then he does that move. So I'm already thinking like 10 moves ahead. One of my favorite things is to think about worst case scenario and then work backwards. Okay, what's the worst thing that's going to happen here? And then I work back. Then I kind of get my idea concrete. So if I was going to pitch this idea to someone, what would it sound like?
That's good.
Because that forces me to understand my strategy. Because if I can't pitch it, then it's not worth anything. That's why typically you become my soundboard. Yeah.
I'm the catcher.
I start processing. I'm like, oh, but what if we do this and then we do this and then boom. So think about it this way. So I'm selling you on it. And then there are other individuals in my life, businessmen who love the Lord as well because faith is important to me. So they love the Lord and they're businessmen. They're far ahead of me. I'm always like, oh, can you lend me some money? Good dudes that I get to share and be authentic with them and tell them more about, I don't sell them, I tell them more about my fears. And I'm more vulnerable in those moments. They can pinpoint weaker areas that I'm thinking about. You know what I mean? We've failed in many different things that we've tried, right?
I'm just gonna go do it.
Yeah, we've spent money in things that we shouldn't have spent money in.
I didn't do it.
So I would say, obviously, have mentors around you, people that you trust, people that you believe in. You know, invest in a coach is the other thing. Like if they've been there, done that.
We've both done that. Yeah.
Yeah, we spent time. I had a coach before. I'm not using a coach right now. I'm using more the businessmen in my life. I meet with business leaders bi-weekly.
I have one final question for you. You are what, 8 years into this game?
8 years into Navigate,
Yeah, but
12 years in
you've
property
been in property management,
real estate.
Real estate, right? If you were going to start a property management company today, you get 10 doors. You're going to start a property management company.
Or
what
no
would
doors.
you do?
I started
no doors.
NMC with 0 doors. And you know who was our first client?
Who?
I'm not going to say his name, but yes, at that time he had about 30 doors.
He was our first client?
Yes.
Really? I just got chills.
Yeah.
That is so cool.
And we still manage for him to this day. Think about that.
Talk about the power of a referral.
Yes.
Because I know the man that referred you to him.
Yes.
And you guys are still, his daughter babysits for us now.
That's another sponsorship we need to hit up.
That's pretty cool.
Yes.
Okay, so if you're going to start today, what would you do?
First of all, most people who are going to start a property management company have some sort of a network. Let's just assume now, first, if you have a network, the first thing I would do is tap into my network and say, hey, I'm going to be starting a property management company. Let me know if you have anything.
What you got?
Yeah. What you got. That's the first thing. The second thing I would do is what we talked about earlier, which was the realtors, relationships, things like that, just to get you a foundational base. This is the con of bringing in clients through realtors is it almost feels like you have 2 clients, the landlord and then the realtor as well, because they want to impress. Listen, realtor, you want to impress your client. I get it. But it can start to feel burdensome. When you're trying to scale, it's hard to scale
I don't have the time anymore.
Yeah, it's hard. Those are some of the challenges. So I would go that route. I would start building relationship with brokerages. I would find out every single investment firm, like brokerages that specifically focus on investment real estate. I mean, they have all types of stuff out there.
Wholesale firms.
Wholesale
turnkey firms.
The beauty about this industry is people are always willing to help. Facebook groups is another one. It's free to get in there.
That's a good point.
In our industry.
They do. Everybody's looking for referrals.
Yeah.
So that's cool. In the 8 years, what would you have not done that you feel like pulled away from consistent strategic growth?
I hired my strength. I was hiring people to be client facing because when we bought the company, I was on business development. I was growing the company, bringing in business.
Right.
But when we bought the company, we obviously needed to take care of the operational side, and it forced us to lean in and top operation. Like, well, we don't want to stop building relationships in the marketplace. Let's have somebody else do that. Also, you know, one of our clients have a question. Let's get a property manager. Really, what I would have done was, number one, got a bookkeeper. Start with that. And then a CPA/accountant. So everything financial, I would have focused on establishing regardless of how much that would have been for me. I would have done that without a doubt. I went and hired a property manager first, resident care assistant, like those things, I had experience in that already.
Right.
But having me handle transferring a security deposit from our ops account to a security deposit account, or from owner held to property management held, or refunding a management fee, or balancing our books, or looking at a P&L. It was an absolute nightmare. We learned the hard way over and over and over again. So listen, if you're going to listen to one thing I got to say today, for those of you who are stronger on sales and business development, then you need to focus on the financial side of everything, because it's going to be a cornerstone, obviously, of your company. So
you would have hired your weaknesses.
Well, yeah. What a great episode. First of all, there's a couple obviously things that we want to remind you guys of. There's a list of videos in the description that you should be watching. Go check out the other episodes. Subscribe, like, dial in, do all of that good stuff. Share it. Listen, there's good information here. You can learn from our mistakes.
We're long-winded. We know that. Listen to the whole thing at 1.25.
Yes. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Let's go navigate. Let's go.
Here we go.
Here we go. Here we grow.
Here we go.
Guys, click the link in the bio. Go ahead and sign up. Number one, to receive a list of all the strategies that I think you should cover when it comes to trying to grow your property management company. And also sign up to our newsletter. Let's go.